If I enter a password wrong thrice, the system locks me out. How are hackers able to attempt millions of combinations of passwords without the system locking them out? Modern passwords work by a process called hashing. Hashing basically means, first is you take some input, like the characters someone enters for a password, and you shove it through a machine. Second is that machine then spits out some new string of characters that doesn't seem like it has anything to do with what was shoved in to start with. Third is, but the trick is, that it does have some sort of connection. Fourth is, the only way to get that specific output is to feed in that specific input. So when you sign up an account with a website, they take the password you made up, shove it through their hash machine, and then store the output. So even if they get hacked, the hacker will only get the hash, not the password. But when you go back to the website and enter in your password, their hash machine will spit out the correct hash, and since it matches with the one linked to your username, they let you in. However, if a hacker was able to steal a complete list of all the hashed passwords for a site, they could build their own hash machine and just start trying every possible combination of inputs to see if one of them spits out a hash that was in the list. This is typically not easy to do though. So most hackers actually just try to trick you into giving them your password. Like sending you a link on Facebook that looks like it leads to a login page when really it's a fake website that just copies whatever you type in the password box. The top answer is correct, but it is only one technique. I'll explain a different one. The thing is, while some systems might lock you out after a certain number of attempts, many do not. A hacker comes across a website without this security feature, so they try and brute force their way in with a list of emails and common passwords. If they are lucky, they might get a hit and guess one correctly. So they hacked into this one random website. So what? Well, many people use the same password for everything. So now they try log into a list of websites with the same email/password combination. Now they have hacked into your Gmail account. People say big corporations don't pay their share in taxes by using tax loopholes. What exactly are these loopholes? Here's one from personal experience. I was the financial analyst for Sir Stelius Haji Anal's personal holding company, the Easy Group. Easy Group owns a big chunk of EasyJet, Easy Hotel, Easy Gym, Easy Pizza, no RLY, the list goes on. Basically, if it's easy and orange, Easy Group owns it. Easy Group is a Cayman Islands registered company. In the Cayman Islands, there is no corporate tax. EasyJet plc is a London-based company. Every year, EasyJet is required to pay Easy Group a certain percentage of its revenue. This is paid to the Easy Group as a brand licensing fee. In layman's terms, this means that Easy Group owns the brand Easy, and EasyJet is simply renting the brand from Easy Group. Accounting wise, this means that EasyJet has an expense called brand royalties expense. A company deducts its expenses before paying taxes, so this income comes out of EasyJet from pre-tax money and is never taxed. This income is received by the Easy Group as an accounting line of brand royalties income. However, as I mentioned before, in the Cayman Islands, there is no corporate tax, so this income engenders a 0% income tax. All well and good. Now the money is sitting in a bank account owned by a Cayman Islands company. The second part of the step is getting the money from the Easy Group to Sir Stelius. Stelius himself lives in Monaco. Monaco is a country that has a 0% personal income tax. So, Easy Group pays Stelius this money as a dividend. The money now transfers ownership from Easy Group to Stelius. Normally, this would be when someone would pay personal income tax on their income, but because Monaco has no personal income tax, again this transfer of money experiences no taxes. Thus, through this method, Sir Stelius earned hundreds of millions of quid, while I worked for him, and paid less in taxes than I did as his analyst earning 40k per year. I had to pay for my caisse publique, UEI, and French pension/social security. Are we having fun yet? How phones can make emergency calls, but don't have a signal. Hey there, I'm a former 911 dispatcher, so I have first-hand knowledge of this question and answer. When you make a normal, non-emergency phone call, you need to be connected to a cell tower that is able to handle your call. It needs to be able to bill your carrier and report things to that carrier. Some cell towers can handle multiple carriers, which is why many providers have the same level of service in the same area. However, there are federal laws that say that any carrier must handle a 911 emergency call regardless of who your carrier is, or the ability to bill that call to the carrier. Depending on your phone, it might not look like you have service because you can't make normal calls, text, or use data. But as long as there is a tower in the area and you dial 911, that tower must handle your call to the emergency center in that tower's area. Edit. Also, any cell phone with a charge, regardless of it being an active cell phone or not, will make a call to 911. People would give old cell phones to children to play with, and we'd get calls all the time from them. So please, if you have an old cell phone, take the battery out before giving it to anyone to play with, so that we don't get fake 911 calls from it. Just be aware that if you are near a county or district border, you might be connected to a dispatch center that doesn't have jurisdiction over your location. This is an inherited problem with cell phone communication. Just remain calm and that dispatch center will either take all your information and pass it to the appropriate dispatch center, or will be able to connect you to the right one. Why do fans and propellers have different numbers of blades? What advantage is there to more or less blades? It's always a balance. Number of blades. Fewer blades equals more efficient shoveling of air because of turbulence. Air swirls created by other blades reduces efficiency. Usually simpler to make. More blades equals more stable because the force is spread out over more blades and shovels more air compared to how long the propellers are. Propeller tips breaking sound barrier is bad because of lots of turbulence. The longer the propeller, the faster the tips go compared to the center. But having two short blades means more loss of energy at the blade tips. Longer blades equals better at generating lift, shoveling more air at lower speeds. Longer propellers also less stable and vibrate more. Smaller blades equals allows higher top speeds, since the propeller can go much faster without breaking the sound barrier with the wingtips. More stable. So basically point WW1 airplane, we can't make so good engines. So we are gonna go with efficient short two-bladed propellers because that is the most thrust for our weak engines. WW2 airplane, we got a lot better engines now. But two-bladed propellers can't shovel enough air to take our planes as fast as we are going to go. So we are going to go with 4 short blades. Helicopter, we gotta generate lots of lift. So we are going to go with longer and slower rotating blades. Modern helicopter, those blades aren't generating enough lift. More blades. More blades is harder to make, but more stable too. Modern turboprop, too noisy. We are making special 6-bladed propellers that are much quieter. And computer power and advanced materials allows us to make them special advanced shapes that generate even less noise and more power. So now they look more like ship propellers. But for air. Still kinda short blades, because we gotta go fast. Ship propellers, water densio. So we gotta make blades short, or they'll break, but we make them much wider to shovel a lot of water backwards. P.S. Jet engines work entirely differently, even if they do have fans at the front there for compressing air into the engine, not generating thrust. P.P.S. For ceiling fan, you're moving lots of air, but you want to do it slowly and silently. So lots of wide blades. How long the blades are depends on how mobile you want the fan to be. Big fan equals more air silently. Small fan equals noisier, but more mobile. Why is it good for you to raise your heart rate through aerobic exercise, but not through caffeine, stress, anxiety, etc? Jesus. Lots of comments on here from people who don't know WTF they are talking about. MD here. Long and short of it, we do not know. Saying something is good for you or bad for you is very challenging, given the huge variability from person to person. You know those commercials that say consult with your doctor before trying this exercise program? That's why. Reddit skews young and healthy, but the people I see are old, overweight, and sick. There are numerous studies showing that consuming large volumes of caffeinated coffee increases longevity and improves quality of life. Is that because of caffeine? Antioxidants? Social effects? Some confounding variable like a good job or exciting hobby that causes people who would be happier anyway to consume more coffee? We know that stress leads to increased levels of hormones like epinephrine, adrenaline, and cortisol. These hormones have wide-ranging effects beyond their immediate effects on the heart. Likewise, we know that exercise has a huge range of effects, from promoting the development of new neurons to promoting lower weight and better cholesterol levels that reduce the risk of atherosclerosis, one of the major forms of disease worldwide. In a young person like yourself, drinking caffeine in large amounts will drive your heart rate up. Probably not a big deal. But in general, young people get their caffeine from drinks that have tons of sugar or fat, soft drinks or Starbucks style abominations. So docs tend to make broad statements like drink less caffeine. Does that mean we know shit? No. Does that mean it's actually bad for you? Who knows? Exercise is probably good for you, but if you're a marathoner with a massively hypertrophied heart and a resting heart rate in the 40s, does that make you much healthier than someone who just exercises a moderate amount, doesn't have bad cholesterol, or generally takes care of their health? I don't know. In fact, it may put you at a disadvantage. Given that most of the health problems in the US revolve around obesity and its consequences, though, docs are very likely to recommend exercise. Could all of this change? It sure could. Could some forms of chemical stress on the heart be good for it? Probably. But in the meantime, I'll tell you the same things I tell everyone. Get some exercise and avoid stress. Life just feels better when you do that stuff. And everyone here who pulls out a study showing one finding or another, I can probably find a study showing the opposite. Edit. Thanks for the gold.